Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Scandal Season 7, Episode 2, and the name of this episode is Crushing the Flesh. This was a rather interesting episode, but before I get started, let me offer my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by the tragedy in Las Vegas, as well as the hurricanes Irma, Harvey, Maria, and Jose. And if you could give any type of relief or support to everyone that was affected by these tragedies, please do so, because our fellow man needs our help. Now, let me get started with this review. The episode opens up, they playing Salt and Pepper's, Push It. I was just like, and it was the right song, because the episode opens up with Olivia and Curtis. Curtis was, the fine neoconservative guy and he has his own show, kind of like Sally Langston's. And we actually saw in the last episode the two of them had a run-in, and she kind of gave them instructions, to go to this hotel, and they was gonna get it on. We come to find out they've been getting it on for quite some time now, because they've been hitting up every 5-star, 4-star, and 3-star hotel within the DMV to get it on with each other. And Curtis is just like, oh yes, so what we gonna do? We kind of running out of all these, because they've been going from hotel to hotel having sex. So he's like, so what we gonna do? We running out of hotels. Where we gonna go next? And he says that, shoot, we can kind of make this thing more exclusively if you want. And Olivia put on that boss hat and let it be known, like, no, boo-boo, you are there when I need you. Meaning that when I, need an itch and I need someone to scratch it, that's what you're there for. Nothing more, nothing less. So don't get that confused. So Curtis, being the smug ass that he is, he's like, okay, I got your ass. Because we actually see Curtis throughout the episode as well. Next, we actually find out that there's going to be this big state dinner, and the Botswanian president is actually supposed to be there to they're trying to sign this peace treaty to stop nuclear proliferation. We get a scene with Cyrus and Olivia. Cyrus is kind of over it because, according to the seating chart, he's seated next to this guy, Fenton Claxton, and this is a gay guy who's this billionaire, and he's very smug, he's very arrogant, narcissistic. He's pretty much, this type of millionaire who feels like he can buy whatever he wants. So he has that kind of mentality. Cyrus doesn't want to be sitting next to him, but Olivia let to be known he requested to sit next to you. So make the best out of it, because at first when we first get introduced to the scene, Olivia's like, Mr. Vice President, and he's like, what is all this formal shit? Why don't you just call me Cyrus? We were friends at one point in time. And she's like, and then him bringing up this whole situation with Fenton Claxton, she's like, oh great, so I'm dealing with, trying to stop nuclear proliferation. I'm trying to get this state dinner to be a success, and that we actually get this treaty signed. And yet here you are complaining about who you're seated next to. Really, Cyrus? So pretty much, she pretty much just told Cyrus, like, look, my friend, suck it up, and let's make the best out of it, because we got a lot more on our plate than worried about Fenton Claxton. He obviously wants to sit next to you for a reason. Find out what that reason is. Then we actually get a scene with Abby and David, and it's so apparent that Abby and David really David definitely still got, feelings for Abby. And Abby does too, but Abby is like really not trying to take it there with him. But they're good friends. So pretty much she's talking to David because she wants help getting into the state dinner, because they're trying to get, new clients for QPA, Quinn Perkins Associates. It's no longer OPA, and they have to establish their own name and establish their own clientele. So Abby is saying, like, asking Rosen, like, can you, get some, get all of us an entrance into the state dinner so we can work the room, and get some new possibilities. All right. So we pretty much saw that go on, and then we also see Abby with the rest of the crew of QPA, and they're getting all of the fake IDs to get into the event because David came through, and for Charlie, his identity is this guy named Kevin DeWitt, and she's like, okay, that'll work. And so they all got fake IDs so they can get into the state dinner so they can work the room. So we saw that go on. Then we get this scene with Millie and the president of I think his name is Ashad, President Ashad from Botswana, and pretty much they're talking. So pretty much they're like doing a photo op or whatever. And in like Millie and the president are talking, and she brings up like this treaty to stop nuclear war is going to be great for everybody involved. But the president, he is real smug with Millie, and he's like, look, sweetheart. If you want to talk about stopping nuclear proliferation, maybe the United States needs to stop all of this shit, because it seemed to me that the superpower, meaning the U.S., got more nuclear and weapons of mass destruction than anybody on the planet. So if you're gonna nuclearize our if you want to stop us from if you're going to stop us from using nuclear weapons, maybe you need to begin with you, because it seemed to me that, and then he really started going in on the United States, saying that the United States always puts on this face of God and Christianity, but really it's really just a mask to do evil, because the Middle East, the Islamic nations, they are very deeply spiritual and religious, and they follow it to a T. So he pretty much was letting her know that, look, you ain't getting no treaty signed, and if America ain't gonna lift, if they're not gonna give up their weaponry, don't expect us to do ours. So he's like, so how about the rest of that tour? And I'm just like, oh, he is smug as hell, because he just literally ripped Millie up, and like, because Olivia was telling Millie, you need to try to work this treaty onto him and get him on board with it. Millie tried, and he immediately shut her down. Like, no, bitch, it ain't happening at all. Okay. So then we kind of go back, to like QPA or whatever. Huck is mad because he doesn't want to go to this event, but Abby lets him know, like, look, just do small talk. He said, look, I don't do small talk. Usually, I only do small talk when I'm about to kill somebody. That's how I'm operated. I ain't used to this small talk and having conversations. That's just not me. But she says that, look, let's make the best out of it. Just have small talk. As a matter of fact, just ask a question and let people talk. And just sit there and listen and act like you're listening. That's what you do. It's nothing. But then he asks Abby, do you miss being in the White House? And she says that, she pretty much sits down and she lets him know that, man, when I was in the White House, I was the big dog. I pretty much was like I literally had power at my fingertips, and yeah, there's a part of me that does miss being in the White House, but she's like, I prefer being a gladiator, because we definitely know from last season, Abby was in some bullshit, especially when she started messing around with Samantha and that whole, secret operative that was working with the vice president, and they had her doing all kind of shit. So, Abby, and plus her actions almost got Huck killed. So now it's good to see her and Huck in this good place. And, she says that, look, I prefer being a gladiator than being in the White House. So that was good. Let's see here. So then we get we get this crazy scene between Millie and Olivia, and Millie has been deprived, and I mean deprived, because they're pretty much Olivia's letting Millie know, like, look, this is serious. You got to get him on board with this treaty. He can't leave here without signing it. Like, you really need to make this happen. And and then, like, pretty much after a while, Millie just got going on to this rant about, her lady bits are just out of control, and and it's like she's single. She's a single president. She's a female president, and she's single. And she says that, look, I can't get a vibrator, I can't mess around, I can't do any of that because they're watching my every single move. Like, how am I supposed to deal with all this pressure? Dealing with the state dinner and all of this. I'm losing my damn mind because I need to get it in. And then, like, Olivia just bust out laughing. She was like, yeah, being in this position is lonely. Trust me, I know. But you got to make the best of it. And you got to really make it work. Because at the end of the day, we really need to get this treaty signed. And we really need to make your presidency monumental. So, therefore, you got to make the best out of it. Yeah, so I thought that scene was funny because it's just like, yeah, Millie's been backed up big time. So then, like, we also, so we pretty much see that after that, Olivia goes to the secret room in the White House or whatever, and Jake is there, and so, she because pretty much the state dinner starts off or whatever. She goes in there to check on Jake, and she lets Jake know that, look, we're trying to get, the president to sign this treaty, but in case he chooses not to do it, I need you to get some dirt on him to see what we can use as leverage to get him to sign this treaty. Because she already knows that he rejected Millie before, so she's now trying to cover her tracks to make sure that we get this treaty signed. So then we get to, so pretty much now the state dinner is starting. It's a big event, and we also see that we finally meet the guy Fenton Claxton, who Cyrus didn't want to be near. But we see Fenton Claxton really has this I don't give a fuck attitude. I mean, he eats with his hands. He's just, and he even showed up in some gym shoes. Got a suit on, but got on some gym shoes, because he's like, I got money, I don't give a shit. And, Cyrus is kind of being around this dude, and Cyrus is giving this, look like, because, Cyrus is very high society, and even though this guy got money, long money like Trump, he's very uncouth, he's very narcissistic, and, he just has this I don't give a fuck attitude. Like, they actually had a scene where they were sitting down talking. This man he actually makes $1 million an hour. So he's like, I ain't got no time to waste. But then he actually talks about this real expensive painting that he spent, and he spent $100 million for it, just to sit in his office. And he don't even know nothing about the painting or know really much about it. He just says that, look, I want it, I got it, and it's in my office. And Cyrus knows about the artist, and he knows about, he actually knows about the art because Cyrus is high society. So, I'm actually just going to talk about them first, and then I'm going to go into the other parts of what happened at the state dinner. So, we see the two of them, talking or whatever, and Cyrus is just totally, he is like completely just turned off by Fenton altogether. But then, when it came down to the part where they was going to do, like, the music performance, he opted not to do that, and he wants Cyrus to give him a tour. So he gives him a tour of the White House, and then they get into, Millie's presidential office, the Oval. So then he takes Fenton to the Oval. Fenton, being the kind of person he is, because the real reason why he wanted to sit next to Cyrus was because he wants Cyrus to help him run for governor. Because he says that, look, you have a track record, you did phenomenal work with Vargas and all of that, so you're known that you're like the guy that makes leaders. So I want you to help me become governor. So after they tour the White House, they go to the Oval, and Fenton is just so full of it that this fool literally sits in the oval chair. Sits at Millie's desk and shit. And he's like, I'm liking this. Forget being governor. I should become president. I got money. I got more money than God. I can just throw money and I can get into the White House. I mean, it's nothing. I'm like Donald Trump all day, every day. Clock that. But when he sat in the Oval Office, that set Cyrus off. Cyrus was like, get up! I was like, ooh, shit. And he was like, you pompous asshole. He says, people have fought and have earned their place here. You are the most arrogant, the most idiotic, and the most stupidest person I've ever met. And he just starts going in like, who the hell will buy a painting for $100 million just to hang in your office? Do you even know the importance of that? Do you even know that this artist is probably one of the best painters of all time? And you don't even care. And just like you don't care about the presidency because you sat in the president's desk like it was nothing. And he says that you think your money is going to buy you everything. You're a pompous asshole. And he says that you will never be governor and like president. Dude, don't make me laugh. I was like, damn. Cyrus went in. And Fenton is a gay man as well. So he's like, well, I think I should go. And he was really hurt by that. And Cyrus was like, look, I'm sorry, it's just that I'm very protective of the presidency and the Oval. And I was like, whoa, but Cyrus let him have it because he pretty much read him for filth. And it was like, I was seriously getting Trump vibes from that. Also, what goes on in the state dinner, QPA is there working the room. They're talking to contracts or whatever. Charlie got on my fucking nerves because Charlie is such a simple bastard. Because his name is Kevin, and him and Quinn are a couple. So when they was asking questions about him being, was Kevin and Quinn married? And she's like, oh yes, we've been married for a year and all this. And then like Charlie just started getting his damn feelings and shit. Oh yeah, I'm Kevin and you're married to Kevin. I'm like, dude, you on a fucking job right now. But he's upset because he wants to get married, but he feels that Quinn is prolonging it. And she's not really, she's like, she says, now that you became QPA and now you're the head of it, it's like that is taking precedent over what we have. And I'm beginning to think that, maybe you really don't want to marry me and all this shit. But then we see later on in the episode, she says that, look, we just need to hurry and get married then to kind of nip that in the bud. And I'm like, Charlie be getting in his feelings very easily. So with that whole situation, he's like, oh, well, won't you ask Kevin? I mean, he's your husband. I'm like, Charlie, get over your fucking self, for real. Because you want a job. And when it comes to the job, leave the personal shit at the door. And also we see that, Huck is having difficulty talking to people, but he ends up talking to this military guy. And, they ask him questions, but one thing we noticed that Huck actually looked at this guy's he looked at his medals that were across his chest, and he noticed something odd about it. But then he was asking about, they were talking about the military, and like Huck was like, yeah, I'm in the military too. And he's like, oh really? When did you become a part of the military? And Huck didn't even answer him. Huck just immediately was just like, he saw the guy's medals and just ran off. We come to later to find out, because Abby sees him in the hallway, and she's like, what are you doing out here? And he's like, I'm just checking something on this guy. I'm just checking information on this guy I was just talking to. And Abby's like, how the hell you get phones up in here? Because, they confiscate all of your phones, at the door. But Huck got phones, like a few phones on him. He's like, I carry spares. Do you want one? I was like, yes, Huck. Huck is like a beast. So Huck know how to get through security with no problem. But then he lets her know about this military guy that he was talking to, and he said he noticed that his medals were in the wrong order. She says that it's supposed to be in order of precedence and importance, and his medals were not equal. And I'm running this guy to see if he's a part of if he's a member of the military, and this dude is nowhere. So due to the fact that, so pretty much Huck figures out someone has intruded into the state dinner, and I'm definitely gonna I'm definitely gonna talk about that. So we pretty much see that during the state dinner, Millie is still trying to work on President Assad to do this peace treaty. He is adamant he's not going to sign it because he says that, look, as long as America is this superpower, it's going to have reign over the entire world, and you don't even realize the actual nature of the Botswanian government. Like, there are people there who are willing to take my head off if I even associate with America. And she says that there are a lot of anti-American, groups within Botswana, and we doing this treaty, you're asking for literally for like an actual Cold War to happen within Botswana by itself, and then this shit is going to spread throughout the Middle East. So your whole idea of a peace treaty, you're actually going to create more war. So I'm adamant this whole treaty is not going to happen, and you just need to leave it alone. We see Olivia goes to Jake. Jake finds out, that first they was thinking that he was messing with underage girls, but we come to find out the underage girl they had on camera was not actually an escort. That was actually his niece, and he has his niece under a false name. So, and she's actually, I think she's a student at George Washington University. So he has his niece, getting education in the United States, where that is actually illegal, in Botswana, because women are not allowed to get an education. But he's got his daughter over here in the United States getting the best education possible. So Olivia gets this information. So while President Assad is in the bathroom, Olivia comes in and hits him with all this information, and she's like, "Here it is. If this gets out, this can ruin everything for you. So if you have any common sense, you better sign this treaty, and you need to do it now." And like President Assad just starts, Assad just starts going after Olivia. He was saying that, yeah, people have told me about you. You are evil, and people says that you will do anything to get what you want. And then he brings up what she did with the ambassador of Botswana in the last episode. You literally held a gun to his son's head to get him to cave in. And he pretty much told her that you're not gonna pull this shit with me. I already know how you operate. And she says that here it is, you talk about, America, but you just proved more and more that America is some bullshit, and that you don't actually represent any of the ideals and policies that you guys like to put forth. You guys are bullies. and you're trying to bully my nation. And little do you know, if I were to sign this treaty, it will be hell in Botswana, because there's a lot of anti-American people there who will want my head off, who will want my head on a silver platter, and you don't even know that right now my life is at stake, even for the fact that I'm even here talking to the president. So he lets her know, you know, fuck the bullshit. I'm not signing it, and you should just, you know, back the fuck off, because you're not gonna break me. And Olivia's like, you're making a terrible mistake. And he just blows her off and he walks off. So she's like, oh, okay. But then we see after he leaves the bathroom, he gets intercepted by the military guy that Huck was talking to, and he was saying that, you know, I'd like to take you to the private quarters. You know, Madam President wanted me to get you to take you to this private room because she wants to talk to you. So he follows the guy. We come to find out the guy is an assassin, and he's not even American. He's Botswanian, and he's about to shoot the damn president of Botswana. But before he's able to pull that trigger, Secret Service comes in, wrestles him down, and they fucking you know, take the guy in. And pretty much we saw Jake, Millie, and all of them come in. So Huck actually saved his life. So we saw that go down. We also noticed throughout the state dinner, Olivia has run-ins with Curtis. Curtis is there with a date or whatever, so he's like, "Hey, girl, you said that, hey, you only want me when you only want me when you want me. So hey, I'm gonna do me." So she's like, "Okay," but she says that you know, pretty much. Yeah, I want you when things are good and when things are right, and when I want to celebrate, yeah, I'll come holler at you. So we see throughout the episode that both of them are taking like jabs at each other, or whatever. And then we saw towards the end, Olivia and Curtis talk, and he's like, okay, so, because she's like wondering why is he there. He's there because he's trying to get a scoop on the whole peace treaty, and he wants to do an exclusive on it. Well, she lets him. So I'm gonna get to them. So that's the reason why Curtis is there. But we see him and Olivia have run-ins throughout the episode while they're at the state dinner. So after that whole situation, President Ashai finally meets with Millie, and they actually talk about the peace treaty, and he actually thanks her and thanks the White House for saving his life, because if they didn't intervene when they did, he would have got killed. So we actually know one of the reasons why he didn't want the peace treaty, because he knew he had enemies within his own country. So they pretty much sit down and they talk. And he says, and she's like, look, that's why the importance of this treaty is so important, so we can actually stop violence within this region, and we can actually start developing peace. So then he talks about his rival country. I forgot the name of it. If you guys remember, put it down in the comments. But he says if you can get, I think it was called Ballon or something like that. I deeply apologize. I totally forgot the name of the country. But he says if you get them on board, then yeah, we can do this peace treaty. But then he begins to tell Millie, my niece is a really big fan of yours. She actually has a poster of you in her room. And he pretty much lets her know that, you're amazing. You are extraordinary. And I'm like, oh, check out President, because, after all of that was said and done, he asked Millie, can she pour him a drink? And he's like, oh, I didn't know you. She's like, oh, I didn't know you drink. And he's like, well, I do socially, but, I kind of have to keep that under wraps. So, based on, his, religious core. So they start drinking, and he pretty much kind of like lets her know, like, yeah, you extraordinary. And we just see Millie is getting stirred up. I'm like, shoot, you pretty much, I was just like, ooh, you are playing with the kitty cat. Because she is just feeling that. She's like, ooh, okay. And she's like, well, she gains her composure. He was like, and then the president was like, yeah, we're going to see each other again. we'll definitely keep in touch. And I was like, oh, check out the president hitting on Millie, and Millie needs something. And, she ain't had none since Marcus, and now Marcus is in Vermont with Fitz. And I'm going to get to that in a second. So, pretty much what ends up happening is that Olivia runs into Curtis and lets him know, like, look, I got an exclusive for you. Getting this peace treaty between the Swan and I think the name of the country is like Ballin or something like that. Like, we actually going to get the two of them united, and this will be the story. So this calls for celebration. So and he says, so where are we going to go? We've been to nearly every hotel in the city. Where are we going to go to next? And she ends up taking them to her house. They end up going to her house, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So we saw that happen. Then, as far as Cyrus, he goes to his office one day, and his secretary lets him know that a package has been dropped off for you, and also a note. What ends up happening is that Fenton, that famous art painting, that $100 million art painting, it's in Cyrus's office. So Fenton then dropped off the art painting, and then he gives him a letter that says that I wanted to give this to someone who truly appreciates this. And I'm like, oh, Fenton is trying to woo Osiris. I'm like, you better get old Moneybags, boo-boo. Shoot, because Michael don't want your ass no more. You need to jump on this old rich man. Come up, baby. Because he wants Cyrus. I was like, ooh, that's interesting. So we get back to the house. Olivia and Curtis are getting it in on the damn elevator, and as soon as they're about to get off and go into our apartment so they can get it in, guess who at the motherfucking doorstep? Fitz. And I'm like, I was wondering how they was gonna bring Fitz back into this. Fitz just showed him on doorstep. He's like, hello, Olivia, and her and Curtis are standing right there. I'm like, damn, he done caught you in the act. You done moved on to another dude. But I'm like, we ain't seen nothing from Fitz since he left the White House. So I'm like, this is going to be interesting. So now Fitz is back. So we're going to try to figure out what the hell's going on with that. So that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, I've started a GoFundMe account. You definitely check out that link in the description box. As well, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Scandal. So until then, everybody, take care.